A woman in her early 20s, named Emma, was enjoying a peaceful moment with a cup of tea in an outdoor café, when she noticed an elderly gentleman sitting alone at a nearby table. Despite being completely absorbed in his thoughts, the old man's piercing gaze seemed to linger on her. Emma couldn't help but wonder who he was and why he was staring at her so intently. Just as she began to feel uneasy about the situation, the man stood up, approached her table, and introduced himself. "My name is Edward," he said, extending a hand towards her. "I know this might come as a shock, but I need your help." Startled by his sudden appearance and request, all Emma could manage was a simple, "What is it?" "And then I saw you. You have the same hair color and a similar aura about you. I hope you don't think me rude, but would you be willing to keep me company for a while? I promise I won't bother you. I just need someone to fill the void in my heart." Looking at the photo, Emma couldn't help but notice the striking resemblance between her and Edward. She helped him sort through his late wife's belongings, finding solace in the shared stories and laughter. It was a picture of Edward and Eleanor on their wedding day. But what truly caught her attention was the bridesmaid standing next to Eleanor. It was her own mother. All those coincidences, the old man's piercing gaze, the request for help, the striking resemblance to her mother, they all made sense now. They shared the same beautiful brown eyes, the same warm smile, and the same gentle expression. She had not only found a grandfather she never knew she had, but also a friend in Edward. Now she realized that the kind old man she had been spending time with was not only her father, but also her biological grandfather. He explained that he needed some rest and would feel better if she were there with him. Although hesitant, Emma agreed and they set off into the woods together. However, as the reality of the situation sunk in, a sense of calm washed over him. "You are my granddaughter, aren't you?" She had hoped that he would be happy for her, that he would embrace her as his granddaughter. But his reaction was the opposite of what she had expected. Seeing the concern etched on Emma's face, he asked, "What's wrong, my dear?" Edward explained that he had recently lost his wife and that the pain of her absence was unbearable. However, she couldn't help but be put off by his strange request. Looking into his fading eyes, she saw nothing but sorrow. She had hurt her father, the one person she had wanted to get closer to. "I know I didn't deserve it, but can you please forgive me?" Beside her, Edward slept peacefully, unaware of the revelation that had just unfolded. Emma took care of him day and night, hoping to make him feel loved and appreciated. However, he remained distant, never mentioning the topic of their relationship again. But how could she possibly break the news to him without causing him pain? The thought of potentially shattering the fragile peace they had found in each other's company tormented her. Nevertheless, she decided to give it a try, agreeing to spend an hour with him. To cope, he was visiting a therapist, but it wasn't helping much. That's when his therapist suggested something unconventional, finding someone who reminded him of his late wife and spending time with her. She knew he was lonely and needed someone to talk to. "I know it sounds crazy, but I came here today hoping to find a woman just like my beloved Eleanor," he confessed, his eyes filled with longing. Emma felt a pang of sympathy for the old man and his desperate attempt to ease the pain of losing his wife. As the days went by, Emma found herself spending more and more time with Edward. It's not because she had fallen for him, but out of pity. One day, Edward asked Emma if she would be willing to accompany him to a cabin he had in the woods. At the cabin, Edward showed Emma a picture of his late wife, Eleanor. As the days turned into weeks, Emma grew fond of Edward and Eleanor's memory. One evening, while looking at an old photo album, Emma came across a picture that made her gasp. Suddenly, everything made sense to Emma. She had never known her biological father and had always wondered about his identity. Overcome with emotion, Emma embraced Edward, tears of joy streaming down her face. In that moment, Emma understood that fate had brought them together for a reason. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Emma sat by the window, lost in thought. With a newfound sense of purpose, Emma knew she had to tell Edward the truth. Just as she began to overthink the situation, Edward stirred from his slumber. Taking a deep breath, Emma began to speak. "Edward, there's something I need to tell you, something that will change everything." As she shared her discovery with him, Edward's reaction was one of shock and disbelief. "So that's why you reminded me so much of Eleanor," he whispered, a soft smile gracing his lips. Looking at Edward's peaceful face, Emma couldn't bear the idea of causing him pain. With a heavy heart, Emma realized that she had made a terrible mistake. As the days went by, Edward grew weaker and weaker. On his deathbed, Edward called Emma to his side. "Emma, I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice hoarse. Tears streamed down Emma's face as she realized that her actions had driven her own grandfather to his grave. The end.